Shabbat Shalom, everyone. This week we're in Parshat Shmini, which means eighth. And there is something very special about on the eighth day. In the scriptures, the eighth day represents holiness. So do you think we might see things in this week's aliyah in our Parsha that represent holiness? I think so too. So do you know what holiness means? It means to be set apart for a special purpose. So we just finished Passover, and I have some plates that are special for that holy day. This is a special plate to put matzah on. I use it during Passover, but the rest of the year I don't use that. That plate is set apart for that holiday. That's what it means to be holy. It means to be set apart for a specific purpose. And Adonai has his people who are holy to him. The Kohanim are the priests who are holy to the Lord, and they are set apart for a special job to take care of the temple and the people of God. Do you remember Adonai also calls the whole nation of Israel a holy nation and a kingdom of priests? He says that in Exodus chapter 19, verses 5 and 6. Now, in our Torah portion, we see holiness and we see the Kohanim, the priests, and we have some really big things going on in Parshat Shmini. So it's kind of like our sandwich. At the beginning of the Parsha, we see Aaron's sons Nadab and Abihu, and they offer strange fire to the Lord, and they're killed. You've probably heard that story before. And then later in the Parsha, we see what's like our bottom piece of bread, all the laws about food, which animals are clean and unclean, and what we should eat and not eat. And then sandwiched in the middle, we have this week's aliyah, which is only 4 verses. And do you know what it's about? Well, it's about the priests and what they can eat as they are holy to the Lord. They eat holy offerings and they eat them in special places. Isn't that cool? So in this tiny little aliyah, we see God bringing together what we can understand of his Kohanim and holy food. So what do we see in the prophets? Zechariah has something to say about being holy to the Lord too. In Zechariah 14, verse 20, it says, "On that day, holy to the Lord will be inscribed on the bells of the horses, and the cooking pots in the Lord's house will be like the sacred bowls in front of the altar. Every pot in Jerusalem and Judah will be holy to the Lord Almighty, and all who come to sacrifice will take some of the pots and cook in them." And then in the book of Hebrews, we see more about being holy to the Lord. Let's go to Hebrews chapter 7, verses 23 through 26. Now, there have been many of those priests, since death prevented them from continuing in office, priests, Kohanim, who died, like Nadab and Abihu, but because Yeshua lives forever, he has a permanent priesthood. Therefore, he is able to save completely those who come to God through him, because he always lives to intercede for them. Such a high priest, a Kohen HaGadol, meets our need, one who is holy, set apart, blameless, pure, set apart from sinners, and exalted above the heavens. And in chapter 10, verse 10, it says, "And by that we have been made holy through the sacrifice of the body of Yeshua HaMashiach once for all." So we don't become holy by following the rules. We're actually made holy by Yeshua. And he sets us apart for his purposes. Just like the Kohanim were set apart to take care of the temple of God and the people of God, and the whole nation of Israel is set apart to be given the words of God and the Messiah himself, and to be priests to the nations. So you and I too have a special job to be set apart for Yeshua. And when we follow him, we live holy lives because he is in us. Oh, and his word, he says we can eat that. Shabbat shalom.